Hi, this is Drew with RockyMountainFerrets.com. I am going to set up the worm bin today with a new tray. I'm also going to be pulling out the oldest tray so we can get the worm castings out of the bottom. I've got Amos here. He's going to be my Vanna White today, giving me a hand. So here we go. So the first thing you want to do is get all of your shreddings or your bedding ready for the new tray. So I've got a whole bunch of shredded newspaper, shredded cardboard, some of that chore, which is coconut husk, a little bit of dirt in there for the worm's gizzards. I don't know if I've explained that before. So a worm's gizzard is kind of like it's like a worm or a bird's gizzard. It's how they chew. They don't have teeth. So basically it's like a muscular gizzard, and they eat sand and dirt and pieces of limestone, and they keep those in their gizzard. And then as the food comes in, it mixes with the sand and the dirt in their gizzard, and they muscularly contract, so it grinds with the sand and all the food gets broken down, and that's how they chew. So that's what a gizzard is, and because of that, they need dirt. So you gotta make sure you have a little bit of dirt, a little bit of limestone, a little sand, whatever it is in the box. So here we go. I'm gonna lift this bad boy off. Oh, there's a little wormy on there. Hey, little buddy. Go on, go home. All right. So this is the top layer. This is the newest one, and I've got it all filled up with food. And they're happy. They're up on the surface. They're doing great. They are eating all sorts of things, and we've got all sorts of other fun little bugs in here. Springtails. There's just some flies. We've got some mites, millipedes. Which is all good. They're all helping. They're all making good stuff. The one thing you want to watch out for is centipedes, because they will actually kill the worms. So if you see those, kill them, because they're evil. So what I'm going to do is I got my new tray. Set that on top. Just push it down a little bit so you get a nice bit of contact between the old one and this one. And I can see bugs are already popping up into the new one. I got a little bit of food here to get them started off. Usually when I feed them this like this thing's full. Like I just give them a lot of food and they go through it, so it's great. I'm going to dump that down so they got something to start off with. Kind of like to start off in one corner, so I'll start here and work my way around. Take my bedding, and I'm not just going to dump it in because there is some standing water in the bottom I don't want to dump in there. I'm just going to pick it up and pop that down. Kind of spreading it out, and this is kind of to protect them, make sure that they aren't exposed, and that every time I open up the top they don't get scared and run away and everything, so kind of just a good thing. Spread it out all over the top. And when you feed them, you lift up the bedding and you put the food underneath, which is all good. Cool. So that is that. Instead of a bucket of that, let's make sure I get all the crap out of there. A little muck. If you don't like getting muddy, a good pet to keep. Worms. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift off all of the trays, including the bottom one. I'm going to leave behind this bottom piece. Leave that right there. Break this out. There you go. I'm going to set it down on the newspaper I have prepared here. And you can see, this is the bottom piece, and I got some worms in there. There's a little wormy. There you go, buddy. What you doing here? Set it back in there. And sometimes you get worms down here, and they do drown. I've got a couple of dead ones in the water, but I drained the water off pretty honestly. So now I'm going to lift these trays off, leaving the bottom one, which has all the good castings in it. Set it back on here. So now I've got my second oldest, my third oldest, and my newest trays all right in here ready to roll. Got my oldest tray, which has all the castings and all the oldest stuff in it. Yummy. I'm going to set that on top. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to leave the top off. And the worms, because they don't like the light, and they don't like movement, because I'm going to stir it up a little, they don't like movement and vibration and all that kind of stuff, they're going to try to hide. So they're going to go down, they're going to exit this top tray, and pretty soon I'm going to have a tray that's completely empty of any wormies and any other, bugs or anything like that, and it's just going to be pure castings, and it's going to be beautiful and delicious. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I'm going to let this sit for probably an hour or two. I'm going to come back and see if there's any worms left. I might take it outside, try to clear out the last of the worms, and then we'll just have some beautiful castings. Easy peasy. Worm Factory makes it really awesome and simple to do. So again, this is Drew with Rocky Mountain Ferrets, and I'll be back in a little bit. I'll show you what this looks like when we're completely done. Stay tuned. Alright, so I got the worm castings out. I gave them a little while to get down. And one thing about this you gotta realize is that there really aren't that many worms in this area, because it's pretty much like they're crawling around in their own poop. And nobody likes doing that, not even worms. So they've pretty much migrated out of this area. I can see that there are some little worm eggs and worm capsules in here, but they'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and plant something here. I'm going to show you how we do this. And one way to use it, there's tons of ways to use this stuff, but this isn't one way. I've got a locally produced organic parsley plant. It's actually made right here in town, or it was grown right here in town. So I'm going to plant this. I'm going to put it in a pot and just checking to make sure I got the levels right. Just going to take a little bit of this worm castings, And I'm going to sprinkle it in the bottom. Come here. There are some like roots in there and stuff. And there are still some worms in here, but that's alright. You don't need a lot of this stuff. It is really dense and rich and beautiful. So a little bit of that right in the bottom. I'm going to loosen up the plant. Get out of here, Emma. Or come here. Come on. Getting in the way. Loosen up my plant, bring him out, break up the roots a little bit so that it doesn't stay in a root bind and all that jazz, because otherwise it's just going to grow around in a circle. These guys are pretty good. They're not too much. You just want to be gentle when you're doing this. I'm going to plant this guy right down there in the worm castings. Bring my potting mix around him, making sure that we keep that at about the same level that he was before. Got a little extra soil for around the edges. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Now he's really well fertilized. He's real happy in there. I'm going to go ahead and water him, make sure that he's doing well, and we're all set. I've got all these worm castings that I can do all sorts of fun, great stuff with. Pretty exciting. This is Drew, RockyMountainFerris.com. Come by, check us out on Facebook or Twitter. Thanks very much.